I think we should start using the okay. Then we have an informal.
Ja.
Kun je je voorstellen, mevrouw Martin, het is vroegvrouw, wereldwijd ICM, Internationale Confederation of Midwives, dus onze grote beroepsorganisatie. En zij gaat jullie iets vertellen over ICM, de rol van de vroegvrouw in de verkundige zorg wereldwijd. En over verschillende verkundige modellen. You understand? You understood?
Just a bit. But I can't speak. I hope I can speak English now.
Well, yes, the floor is yours.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to be here with you. Maybe others will be coming. But as you heard from her, my name is Martha Bokose. I'm a project coordinator. I'm working with ICM. I'm a midwife also by profession, and although in the last 10 years I've gone into management and other things, I've gone astray a bit, but whatever I've been doing, I've been working with maternal and child health projects. So I've still been within the same focus. So the presentation today is to share with you. Basically, it will focus on 3 areas: what ICM is, what we do, and also how we work. So that will be the main focus. I'm hoping that through this presentation, you have a glimpse of what ICM is and focusing on those 3 areas. ICM in full is International Confederation of Midwives. Just to hear from you, how many of you knew about ICM before this presentation? How many? 1? 2? Just a bit? Okay. At least you heard about it. So International Confederation of Midwives is an umbrella organization of professional midwives associations. An accredited non-governmental organization. It has 108 member associations, and it represents 300,000 midwives. It works, the member associations are from 98 countries, and we work in 4 regions. Americas, as you can see, Americas, Europe, Africa, and Asia. The number of, you will see the number of member associations and the countries is different. In some countries, in some few countries, we have more than 1 association, which is allowed by the Constitution of International Confederation. Our vision is a world where every childbearing woman has access to a midwife's care for herself and her newborn. That's the vision that we are working with. And our mission, to strengthen member associations and to advance the profession of midwifery globally by promoting autonomous midwives as the most appropriate caregivers for childbearing women and in keeping with birth normal, in order to enhance the reproductive health of women and the health of their newborn and their families. That's our mission. Why is ICM there? ICM is there because we have a challenge globally, and the challenge is that every year about 300,000 women die due to complications of pregnancy and childbirth, but we also have 2.6 million stillbirths. Again, 3 million newborn babies die in the first month of life, but also more than 1 million die due to prematurity. I'm sure you agree with me that this is a huge burden that we have to deal with. So that's why ICM is also there to take part in addressing this challenge. Focal areas. ICM works to promote and strengthen the midwifery profession. It also promotes ICM's vision and mission, which I've just read in the previous slides, but also works to improve maternal and newborn health globally. You will also see the focal areas more as we go ahead in the presentation. Strategies. How does ICM work? ICM is involved in advocacy and lobbying for competency-based education. In many countries, we have midwifery education, and the type of education that midwives get vary from country to country. And the curriculum they are using is also very diverse. So what ICM does is to lobby to make sure whatever curriculum they are using in the various countries is something that is competency-based, to ensure that the midwives, when they qualify, they go back into service, they should be able to perform using those competencies and should be able to provide quality care to the mothers and their babies. ICM also works through projects, and through those projects we develop roadmaps for the different countries to assist them in implementation of maternal and health programs. The projects, normally we do write proposals and get some funding. You also see our funding agencies later on in the presentation, but this is one of our strategies. By having a project, we go into specific countries, we have specific activities to conduct in those countries, and then, but by the end of the day, it's all aimed at improving maternal and newborn health. We mainly work with midwifery associations, but when we are there, we also engage the Ministry of Health, because we realize that the midwives associations are also employees of the Ministry of Health, so they cannot work in isolation. So we work with the midwives associations, but also linking with the Ministry of Health so that they work together, so that the association is like an arm of the Ministry of Health. Other strategies that we are using include linking and learning, what we call twinning. Twinning is a program whereby we link midwives associations between countries, between two countries. Right now we have 4 pairs of twins. We have Sierra Leone, that paired with KNOV. These are the Dutch midwives in Netherlands. But we also have Umoja. These are midwives from Tanzania who have partnered with, who are partnering with Canada Midwives Association. Then we have Tupela. This is Australia and Papua New Guinea. Then we have Chosen. This is Japan and Vietnam. And we have Swimmer. This is Switzerland and Mali. So we got these countries. It's a long process. You first of all start sensitizing the countries and make sure that they are both interested into going into the twinning program. So once they feel they want to engage into this partnership, there's normally an initiation workshop that ICM organizes for all the countries to come together to discuss what the twinning is all about, how they are going to manage the program, and how they are going to work between the two midwives associations. As you can see, most of the partners here, there are some countries are from the west, some are from the south of the hemisphere. But actually what we say in the twinning is that there's no big association and no small association. No rich association, no poor association. It's a partnership. It's like I'm a friend to you. I will not look at what you have and what you are, but mainly to engage with you as a friend and learn from each other. Culturally, they learn from each other. They also, technically, they also learn what the other association is doing versus what the other association is doing. What ICM does is to reach at that level. But further from that, some of these training programs, what they have done is to go further from there. And they are training like students, midwife students, so they exchange visits from one country to another. Qualified midwives, they do exchange programs from one country to another. They also develop some projects within themselves. It's quite a good program, and for example, Umoja, which is Tanzania and Canada, they have really made much progress, such that the Tanzania Midwives Association, they are now more independent. They have an office of their own. They have somebody in their office to run daily business over the association, whereas in the past, that was not there. So that's the twinning. We are also hoping that in this year, we are going to initiate 5 more pairs of twins. Countries are being sensitized, and we are hoping to launch that end of March or maybe early April. ICM also works through leadership development. We have done some leadership courses in South Asia, Trinidad and Tobago, Germany, Slovenia, and Malawi. So once we identify an association that has also become a member with ICM, we start working with them to see what their needs are. And most of them have undergone leadership development, because for them to be able to take up responsibility, run the affairs of the association, making sure it's growing, it needs somebody who has those leadership skills. And you agree with me, when we go into midwifery training, maybe now, but in the past when you go into a midwifery program, you don't do management, you don't do much leadership, all you do is mainly hands-on, and you learn the skills of being a midwife. So we also realize that it's time that we give our midwives some skills for them to be leaders and be able to make the associations visible, but also be able to implement some projects in their countries. Stakeholders, who are the ICM's stakeholders, we have midwives, midwives associations, governments, NGOs, UN agencies, women, children, and also their families. Coming to ICM, the governing process, as you can see, ICM, it starts from the grassroots, where we have member associations. Then the next level is the council, which I'll also explain in the next slide, and provides mandate to board. The board provides mandate to secretariat, and the secretariat coordinates and implements board mandate. The board also has an executive. So the secretariat is the International Confederation of the Midwives based in The Hague. So that's the governing process. Still, member associations, we have 108 member associations. From the member associations, in all the countries where we have these member associations, I did mention that from the associations you go to the council. The council is made of 2 members from each association. So it's a huge group, 100 and something, 150 something. So from each member association, they select 2 people to be members of the council. And this council meets once a year, but also during the triennial meetings. So if we have a congress, which is held every 3 years, then days before the actual congress, the council meets and they address the issues that are at hand. Decision making, maybe approvals and all that. It's a huge meeting. So that's the council. From the council, as I mentioned earlier on, you go to the board. And the board provides mandate to secretariat. The board, as you can see, there is also an executive. So ICM board consists of 13 people in total, but within the board, you have 4 that form the executive. And the executive members are the president, the vice president, the treasurer, but also the secretary general, who heads the secretariat. Now they have changed the name to that position. It's called CEO, but it's the same. But apart from that, then we also have standing committees. ICM office has small number of staff. So most of the work is done also through standing committees. We have a standing committee on education, a standing committee on regulation, a standing committee on research. So each standing committee has 2 co-chairs, and whenever there is some work regarding research, it means it will go to that standing committee. If it's something to do with education, midwifery education, it goes to this standing committee. Similarly, the regulation. So looking back at the organization, we have the CEO as the head of the organization and 10 resident staff within the Hague. But we also do a lot of part-time work. There are some pieces of work that you don't want somebody to be there full-time. then you just recruit them for the specific work. Once they finish, they go. But the 10 are the permanent staff. ICM also has another program under UNFPA. It's called ICM UNFPA program, but the actual title is Investing in Midwives Program, IMP. This program is run from Ghana. In Ghana, we have a small satellite office, and we have one international midwife advisor who heads that small office, and 3 regional midwife advisors. One is for Anglophone Africa, one for Francophone Africa, and one is for Asia. But they are all under the same secretariat office, only that they are operating from Ghana office. And what does ICM do? It provides a strong voice for midwives and childbearing women in the international arena. I'm sure you have heard so many conferences, meetings, where they are discussing about women, midwifery, faculty development, and everything. So ICM always is there as a voice for the midwives. Recently, there has been a trend because, you know, in countries we don't have enough manpower of midwives, and there has been a tendency to train other health workers in small skills so that they do cover the shortages of midwives. And as a result, I think globally people are tending to drift away from the core focus of the midwife. That's why also ICM is that voice, so that when they are in these meetings, yes, we are making other alternative solutions to the shortages of manpower, of midwives. But we should not forget that by the end of the day, it's the midwives that we want. It's the midwives who attend to the women. It's the midwives who save the lives of these babies. So that's why ICM provides this strong voice. It also develops and coordinates programs and projects. As a way of strengthening the midwives associations, we also develop projects. Whenever there's funding, we implement a special project whilst we are also going on with our routine activities. ICM develops core documents as well as position statements. There are several position statements on the website. I don't know whether you have any of you have looked at any of our position statements? No? That is the website down there. There are a lot of position statements. When you have time, have a quick and see, you'll find them. On what we do, you'll find position statements are there, and core documents in midwifery are there. Some position statements are done collaboratively, as the last point, conducts collaborative work, contributes to development of guidelines. Mostly WHO and other organizations, JAPAICO, that are working on certain guidelines. Most of the times they include ICM on the technical working group so that they give their blessing and say, yes, this is okay, maybe no, you need to rectify this and that. So it's like a check at whatever people are throwing out there concerning midwifery training. We also do research in various areas with partnering with other people, but also we also intend to do some research in the coming year, this year and next year as well, regarding social issues, cultural issues that affect women in accessing maternal and newborn health care. So the pillars, we have 3 pillars of midwifery, and this is what ICM has been working on in the last 2-3 years. We have education component, education, midwifery regulation, but also midwifery association. But all these 3 pillars are based on ICM essential competences, which I'll talk about also soon. Reference documents. ICM has also developed a number of reference documents to harmonize the education practice and regulation of midwifery. All these documents are also on the website. Global standards for midwifery education. These are minimal standards that are stipulated for people undertaking midwifery education, like here. So these are standards that the people who are running the program would look at them and say, look at the curriculum they are using and look at these standards and ask themselves, are we meeting the standards? Because this is some work that has been done thoroughly, but by different groups of people until it was pre-tested, until they agreed that yes, this should be accepted as global standards for midwifery education. So they help to improve midwifery education. And all these documents are on the website. You can access them. There's no restriction. But they are also, these documents also help accountability for that training institution. What sort of midwives are we training? Are they the right ones? When they go out, are they capable of providing the quality care to the mothers and babies? So that's the main use of these standards, to ensure that somebody is indeed trained properly as a midwife. We also have global standards for midwifery regulation. These standards, they are for countries to use the regulation standards so that they improve regulatory bodies in various countries. In some countries, there are no regulatory bodies. The Minister of Health is the one handling everything. I don't know here. Do we?
No, we have several agencies, several bodies.
Yes.
Taking care of regulation.
Okay.
But in Belgium, we have the situation that the European descriptors for midwifery, for the midwife, are formally all covered. But when you look at the working position of midwives, they're doing far less. The autonomy is far less than it ought to be.
So that's why ICM is also advocating with various countries on regulation to make sure that at least there is a body there. And regulation mainly also protects the public, the general public. It protects the mothers, it protects the babies, and the general public at large, to ensure that the care, the services that we are giving is what they should be getting. So regulation is very important. And there are also some countries where you find maybe private institutions training midwives. It's very difficult if you don't have regulatory bodies. Then who monitors that? Yeah, there may be an office, maybe within the Ministry of Health, but it's not the same as having a regulatory body. Additional documents, essential competences for basic midwifery practice. ICM has developed 7 core competences that no matter what, if you are called a midwife, if you are in training, that's what you should cover. By the time you say, I have finished, I'm going into practice, you should have those 7 competences. You can also find them on the website. If you use that title, essential competences for basic midwifery practice, you will get the documents. So have a look at them and you'll see, you can also compare with what you are going through. I'm sure most of the competences should be there, but this is also to guide the countries, the training institutions, to ensure that whatever we are teaching in those institutions, then it's based on competences, so that somebody should be able to practice when they go out there. So that those are there are 7 competences. There's no compromise. You can't say, I'll just do 5, or I'll just do 2, or I'll just do 3, and yet you say you are a midwife. You have to, by the time you finish, be competent. It's a competency-based training, so you have to be competent in all the 7 competences. You can also get these documents on the website.
For the students, because we have an accreditation today and tomorrow, we, in our preliminary work, we looked whether we still get all the standards and all the competences from ICM covered in our curriculum, and it's still okay. So when you graduate, you're a full midwife.
Good. That is good to hear. So more reference documents. When we start working with the Midwives Association, We have a tool which is called Member Association Capacity Assessment Tool. As it reads, it's a tool that we use to assess capacity of that association. If they say we want to register and become a member of ICM and they get registered, before we start working with them on different programs, we need to know how strong are they. So this tool is a very good tool because it looks at different sections like administration, are they implementing projects, financial, are they able to get finances, are they sustainable financially? All those questions, it's a quite comprehensive document. So after the exercise, you do it with them, like you are seated here, we'll start asking ourselves, somebody moderates and asks the questions and sees whether it's a yes or no, or there are some other comments. By the end of the exercise, you summarize everything. It just comes to you clearly which areas that association is weak, or which areas they are doing better. So this is the market. It's called market, Member Association Capacity Assessment Tool. We do also have model curriculum outline for professional midwifery education. It's also on the website. These are outlines. It's not a full curriculum, they are just outlines to assist many countries that don't have a curriculum. And sometimes it's very difficult for people to start just on blank paper. So these outlines assisted them in developing a prototype curriculum or a full-blown curriculum. But otherwise, it can also be used to counter-check whatever we are using for those who have a curriculum, to see whether those components that are in this model curriculum are also covered in their curriculum. It's all to improve midwifery education. ICM also developed a standard list for competency-based skills training in midwifery schools. This is a list of equipment that is required, that is recommended for training institutions. We are saying this is a competency-based training. For people to be competent, they need also to practice. Does the school have the required equipment? So this list is like, it's a checklist that any training institution for midwives can use and say, do we have mannequins, do we have this, do we have that? So it helps them to check themselves and say, oh, okay, I think we don't have this, we need to put this in place to assist, to facilitate the learning process of the students. But it can also be used for accreditation in other places to check whether that school indeed needs to continue providing midwifery education or they need to improve in whatever services they are providing. Other reference documents, we also have philosophy and model of midwifery care. You also get it, this is what ICM believes in midwifery. It's also on the website. You can get it also there. If you click on the website, we have all these documents there. And also the other reference document is International Definition of Midwife. Have we heard about this? Have we read about it? Some people? I can just share a few copies here.
So what you wrote the definition?
There are two on a page, but you can also share with other people. So, International Confederation of Midwives worked to develop this international definition to protect the midwifery profession. Because as I mentioned earlier on, that in different parts of the world, people are training people in different things and calling them a midwife. So ICM worked on this definition, and each time ICM is talking about a midwife, this is the sort of midwife that we are talking about. If you can maybe just have 2 minutes, just read it and we can see what it says. We have read it. So what can you say? Any comments from this definition? Do you think it's useful? Do you think it's realistic? Any comments? You can speak. Please feel free.
I think it's a very good definition, but it also implies that you have a regulation body in your country.
Yes.
I think that could be the only problem that I see with this definition.
Yes, because of the regulation.
You don't have any regulation and good education.
Yeah. And also, that's a good point. The only thing that we normally say is that if at all there are some standards within the definition that are not met, it's not like ICM is saying then you are not a midwife. But it's something that should also encourage training institutions or countries to strive to produce that midwife. So, thanks for your comments. But otherwise, that's the whole reason. But the main reason is to also protect the title of midwife and the profession as a whole. But you'll find if you start asking, you may not have everybody who qualified as a midwife is midwife. But when we say midwife, this is the midwife that we want. So we should strive to work towards improving everything in the education system for midwives. Initiatives, I did mention earlier on, investing in midwives program. This is run from Ghana, but under the ICM in The Hague. And right now, this program is supporting 30 countries. It is funded by UNFPA through Swedish SIDA. ICM also implements International Day of Midwives. Do we know it? We do? When is it?
May 5th.
Good. 5th of May. But it may be celebrated on a different date in different countries. But the official date is 5 of May. Right now, ICM is also working on messages and communication strategy for the International Day of Midwives. Because we are in March, in May, we need to make sure that countries have the messages that they are going to use for the International Day of Midwives. It will be launched on a website, but also countries do celebrate within their own countries the way they want. Sometimes midwives march, sometimes they have conferences, depending on what they want to do. But all in all, it's all pertaining to access to maternal and neonatal health care. Triennial Congress, it's coming. It's in June 2014, and it's going to be in Prague. I also have some references that are here that can be shared to as many students as possible, and you're all welcome. One of the initiatives earlier on, which I also mentioned earlier on, is linking and learning, the twinning partnerships. We think this is something that is important, but it also helps to develop the Midwives Association. We have also a campaign to promote midwives and midwifery. This is a web-based campaign, and we have other partners, NGOs, who also join in to spread out messages regarding midwives and midwifery. It's all to lobby the countries, to make sure that countries see the midwives as an important entity in providing midwifery care to mothers and their babies. Projects. We have been implementing midwives enhancing the reproductive health of women and newborn from the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They did give ICM some funding, and that's where we did the twinning partnerships for the 4 that I mentioned earlier on. There was also another project that has just ended last December, strengthening the Midwives Association of Sierra Leone, Meshwork, Scotland. This was money from RecordAid. It also was used, the funding was used to strengthen Midwives Association in Sierra Leone, reinstating the Midwives Association. It was there, but it just died for some reason. Now it was revived. Now it's a strong association. They have had leadership training. They are now going to lead on continuing midwifery education. They are also going to coordinate what we call platforms of exchange. There are 4 countries around, Nigeria, Gambia, Liberia, and Sierra Leone itself. As a platform, they will be in a platform where they can be sharing information on midwifery. So this is one of the projects that we implemented there. We have not totally closed. We continue to work with them under CEDA. And CEDA, we have a project on scaling up midwifery for the achievement of the MDGs, strengthening the ICM regions. So we'll continue, carry forward the work that from the projects that have closed under the CEDA funding. Otherwise, in 2013, we are also embarking on strengthening the regions, the ones that I mentioned, the Americas, the Africa, Asia, and Europe. So in all those regions, we want to do some work with the people there regarding maternal and neonatal health. I did mention about the board members being 9 plus the 4 executive earlier on. Those board members are all spread in all these regions. So you have some in Africa, some in Asia, some in Europe, some in Americas. So when there's any work that we need to do, like as we are now initiating the strengthening of the regions, we utilize those board members with their partners in that region to start up like a network there, something that they can work together and share information, either on research or maybe also other work on maternal and neonatal health. So we continue with this project in 2013. It ends next year, 2014, December. Projects continued, strengthening the education of midwives in sub-Saharan Africa. RecordAid did provide some funding, and last year, in 2011, 10 countries in sub-Saharan Africa met in Uganda to discuss issues of curriculum and versus the standards that are there, so that we improve the standard of education for midwives. The work is not yet finalized. I'm sure you know. To review the curricula and to change the curricula, it takes quite some years. So we just initiated this work last year, but it's ongoing. But that's what we are aiming at. We are now also engaging in a new project, dissemination of the essential interventions for reduction of maternal and newborn mortality with PMNCH. I'm sure we are aware about the essential interventions. There is funding to work in some countries and concentrate on selected interventions to improve the quality of care for mothers and babies. So we are just initiating this project. Meetings just started recently, and we are hoping to do this work. Countries not yet identified.
What kind of intervention should I think of? Is that handling hemorrhage?
Yes. There's a list of about 50 something or 60 something interventions, essential interventions. So these are the interventions that were recommended, that if we do this, then we are going to improve maternal and neonatal health. But it's not possible to do everything at one go. So this project will select on the critical ones, 15 of the essential interventions, and implement in some countries and look at the impact. Following the training and the support given to the countries, there will also be a study that will be done to assess the impact of those interventions.
The focus is mainly on the developing countries or on Africa?
Yes, the focus is on countries that have got high maternal mortality, so that with these interventions, then possibly they could reduce the maternal mortality. year. Funding. ICM gets its funding from membership fees. Those member countries, I talked about the member countries and member associations. They do pay fees. It's not a lot, but when they are becoming a member, they have to contribute a fee. And there is a criteria for calculation of the fees. Developing countries, they pay quite low, and those from developed countries, they pay a bit higher than the ones from developing countries. So this is also part of income for ICM. We also rely on donor funding, donor projects. I talked about CEDA earlier on. I've also talked about UNFPA, Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but also RecordAid. These have been our main funding agencies. Achievements. ICM has developed global standards, competencies and tools, which I've talked about, for education, regulation and association, but also country project achievements. I've talked about Sierra Leone, and also the twinning program between different associations, north-south or south-south. Improved outcomes of mothers and babies in the process, but also increased visibility of ICM and midwives globally. Representation and partnership. ICM is represented at United Nations Forum, World Health Assembly, WHO Consultative Technical Committees. ICM is a member. WHO Collaborating Centers, we also work together with them. PMNCH and other health-related NGOs. ICM is a permanent member on board for PMNCH, but also White Ribbon Alliance that deals with advocacy for maternal and neonatal health care. Do we know White Ribbon?
Some of course.
Yeah, so it would be, if you just type White Ribbon Alliance, you'll see what they do. They do advocate quite a lot for maternal and neonatal health care. And right now, one of their agenda is respect for maternity care, to ensure that women that come to our facilities, they should get the care in a respectful manner. So it's a global advocacy alliance, and it's quite strong. It has been there for some years, and it has done quite some good work. If you go to their website, you can also see some short films that they have made on maternal mortality. They are quite moving and good, and they are good advocacy tools. So it's also worth knowing them, because these are partners in maternal and neonatal health care. Collaborative work, partnership. We work with partners with whom we share common goals and technical expertise, UN agencies, WHO, UNFPA, UNICEF. Donors, CEDA, USAID, and the other UNFPA, as mentioned earlier on. International health professional NGOs, FIGO, ICM, but International Council of Nurses, Confederation of Nurses, but also International Pediatric Association. So all these are our partners. Other international NGOs, White Ribbon Alliance, as I mentioned earlier on, but also PMNCH. Other healthcare professional associations, International Confederation of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, we know about FIGO, but also International Pediatrics Association. These are also our association partners. Evidence, mounting evidence shows benefits of midwifery care. We have State of World's Midwifery Report. I don't know whether we have also seen that.
The students have seen that. We use it. A lot of our students go for international placements to the south. Okay. And this year we made a capital, and I mentioned every sheet. I mentioned the numbers mentioned
in the summary report.
Yeah.
State of the World's Midwifery Report. It's a very important advocacy tool. It's a synthesis of so many countries, and you have data in that report looking at the number of midwives, how many women die, childbirths, and so many issues that you can use for planning purposes and also for advocacy. If you go to the website, the report should be there somewhere, or if you just write ICM/SOMI report, you get it. Right now, the committee that has been working on this report in the past are now starting to prepare to collect new data for a similar report, SOMI report 2. So, and they want to share this at the next Congress in Prague. So they are already starting to plan for that. So it's a good report, informative. It may not be 100%, but there may be some errors here and there, but it's a very good report for reference. So if you see it, you also appreciate. If you're working out there, it will give you quite a lot of information. Or if you are preparing something, definitely, if you look through it, you will know, you get the basic information regarding midwifery.
At the moment, we prepare projects for midwifery education in Morocco. And we use those numbers.
Yes, that is good to hear. But we should also acknowledge that status of midwives remain low in many countries. If you go in many countries, in some countries, midwives are paid less than nurses. In some countries, they have no voice. They don't even participate in decision making. In some countries, when they are in midwifery training school, they can't go out and do clinical placements until they finish. All these issues is bringing down the status of midwives. So midwives not empowered in many countries, sometimes because of policy, sometimes also due to lack of associations. So everybody is just there individually. You can't raise the flag if you are just alone. You need all of you to be collective and share one voice. Therefore, ICM works to empower and improve the status of women and midwives, because it realizes how important the midwives are. In conclusion, midwives working with women and babies with high level of commitment is a critical factor in saving women's lives worldwide, wherever they are, whether they are in Africa, in Asia, in Americas, in Europe. The midwives, if they will work with the women and the babies, I'm sure we can make a difference in the world. That is the end of the presentation. Thank you very much. I don't know whether we have time for a few questions.
Yes. We have about 15 minutes.
Okay. So it's open. If you want to ask something, I'll be willing, happy to respond. Regarding ICM, regarding midwives, regarding midwifery associations, anything, feel free to ask.
How did you become working for the ICM? Because you were a midwife first.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, I am from Malawi, very far, Southern Africa. But when I was there, I was also working in a safe motherhood project, which was funded by DFID. And I worked with them for 6 years. By that time, I was still in government, as a government employee for 6 years. I was working as a project coordinator as well. Project coordinator for 6 years, and then it phased into a ministry. So I started looking for international jobs, and I felt I've done quite a lot, because after working the 6 years, I was more attached to the maternal and neonatal health project, and I felt I could also do something somewhere. So I got a job, and I worked in Ethiopia for 3 years as a program manager for maternal and neonatal health program. It was a very good program, satisfying. We worked with women, teaching women on complications, improving the situation in the hospital, but also we ran microcredit scheme in the community, because health services are paying, and most of the women, if they don't have enough money, then they don't access the care. So this microcredit was meant to generate income for them to be able and go and access care. It was a very good project. Then from there I moved on, I went to Liberia, where I also worked for 2 years. It was integrated, both maternal and neonatal care, but also clinical, supporting health facilities, strengthening, trying to rebuild the health facilities, because most of them were destroyed during the war. I'm sure some of you have heard that there was a war in Liberia. So after that, the health facilities were destroyed. They were starting almost like from scratch. So I also worked there for 2 years. Then I went back to Ethiopia. I worked in a different role for 1 year as operations manager. Then I saw the adverts, I just applied, and I said, oh, maybe this will be good to work in a midwifery organization. So I got recruited, and that's how I find myself in the egg. Sure.
And now you're helping all over the world?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but mostly we also have we have a technical team of 4 people. Me as the coordinator, we have senior midwifery advisor, who is our line manager, and we have 2 technical midwives. So the 4 of us work in the technical office. And whenever there is any technical work out there, the technical people go out there. But when there is need, I also do support them, because I also have a technical background. Yes. So that's how we work. Any more questions? No?
I think I've been to Rwanda 2 times because of a partnership we have with the Internationale Health Institute in Rwanda. And my work as an international officer and working with the staff, my opinion is that in a lot of developing countries, midwife is also, midwifery is associated with work of social worker.
Yeah.
Is that a good view?
What sort of social work do they do?
That a midwife is more than just the person who helps delivering a baby. But is also a person, an advocate for a woman and
Yes.
children, also someone who should look for opportunities to empower women.
Yes.
To help the children, help the affected family.
Yes. Yeah, and I think the roles of the midwives, although they may be down on paper that this is what the midwife does, from experience, I've seen that they also change with the context. In some countries where you don't have many people who can do other bits of work, you find the midwife is also doing this and this and that to complement the care. But mostly it's also to do with the women, maybe teaching, maybe doing home visits, going in the community, doing advocacy work, and all these other responsibilities. Whereas maybe in other settings, like in the West, you will find maybe they have their own clinic and they just run there, or maybe they are working just in the hospital. But because of critical shortages and of other skilled workers, you find the midwife may do quite lots of work, depending on the environment. Yeah. If there are other people who can do the other pieces of work, she would concentrate on the mothers and babies. But sometimes is derailed and they are doing other activities and also having this other piece of work, and therefore being huge work. In the end, sometimes they may not do quality work. those who didn't have a clear picture of ICM now can associate what ICM is. I would encourage you to go to the website. It's quite informative. There's a lot that you can get from the website. It's www.internationalmidwives.org. So from there, if you do what we do, who we are, you get quite all these documents that I've talked about here. You will see them in details. You can browse them and you will see them. The position statements, you will see what is the position of ICM regarding normal bed, regarding this, regarding that. So you may not read line by line, but it will let you know what is there. In case you need some reference documents, you can go to the website.
You have a very beautiful DVD, Midwives Work.
Yes.
And that's worthwhile looking at.
Yes.
It's called Midwives Work.
Yes. Yes. It has also been uploaded on the website now. We had an old website, but we just launched recently, last month, a new website. And it's great, we have a lot of information there. So I would encourage you, when you have some time, click there and see what's there.
Yes. It's a very useful and very handy website because there are a lot of links.
Yes.
So you can double click the link and you get the background information, or you get the other websites. So it's very it's a very nice website.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's good. It's good also to meet you. Share the information with the others who have been able to come, especially the website. They can also go to the website and see some information there. And I just wish you all the best.
I think the students will here because there's a lot of very useful, important information.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. But I can leave also some of this.
Yes, yes. I already told Ms. Bogorski, for this congress, 2 lectures go on, and also 2 students are allowed to join us.
But we should make it possible for all students to attend the meeting at the to attend the conference. Not paid, but just to permit them to leave.
It's only 5 days, but June.
It's June next year.
Yeah,
But it's good for people to start preparing.
Yes, but then they have examinations.
Oh,
They start then, so.
Okay.
Difficult straks bij
Sessie over internationalisering.
You can also put a few copies in the hospital.
Yes.
Yes.
Thursday we have a meeting.
Okay.
From schools in France.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can have it. We have Thank you so much.
You should show a team or you
So you can give
I don't know to
I can have a cup of tea.
yes.
Let me just get my flash. It will be useful for some people also just to read and hear what we were talking here. If you allow, please go ahead.
Is the microphone?